What's going on, everybody? It's PhDarien, the guy with no PhD. Depends on who you ask. I got a PhD. I want to talk about this. It's 2022. It's still the first month, a couple weeks in already. It's Martin Luther King weekend. And I still get this question all the time. Now, I'm no big name in the YouTube industry or the gun industry, but I've been doing this a lot. I've been doing this for a while. Part of my active duty service, I kind of just stepped back and didn't put too much out there. I've recently been creating more content within the last year, just because. Did you guys hear that?
Nope.
I still keep the question: should you build or buy? You saw the thumbnail, you clicked on it, and I will still say this without question: build. And by build, I mean assemble. And then people are gonna say, well, why? There's a cheap, Delton or whatever the hell AR-15 out there. Go for it. I recommend you build anything if you have the opportunity. It's going to give you a better working knowledge of how that thing works, the whole working knowledge part. And you're not even building, right? Unless you do 80% lowers and stuff like that, like I do, and that's only building that part. I do have to heavily modify some of my ARs. I have to do extra drilling, things that are out of spec. I've seen, don't get me wrong, if you buy a rifle, it may not be out of spec most likely, but it very well could be. I've had a lot of friends bring their fully bought, purchased AR to me, and there was something wrong with it. And then when I say, hey, where was that warranty you've been hollering at? Why didn't you go take it back to the store you got it from? Why didn't you send it off to whatever manufacturer made it? Because you're going to be without your firearm for a while. You're going to be doing this and that, or you can understand how the damn thing works by putting it together. And if you run into any little issue, you would have known during the build process. And then the other part would be you have the know-how to take it out. One of the other questions I get are, what about tools? I don't have all the tools you have. You don't need all the tools I have.
Nope.
You need a punch kit, which is very, very cheap. And just to say, even if you bought all the tools I have to build these, you'd still come out cheaper overall building than it is to buy. And the reason why I say that, and this is not buying all of them. Yes, if you buy the top manufacturers, if you buy BCM, DD, Daniel Defense, if you buy something from like LWRC, you're gonna spend that money. But if you get a little quick Ruger, whatever the hell, or M&P, yeah, you're gonna get that overall cheaper. But with that, what else do you get? Right? A lot of us build other things, right? A lot of people on YouTube build tables, they build chairs, they'll build beds. I built a bed for my child. I built a dresser with the barn door sliding type thing. And a lot of people will say, well, they sell that in the store, right? They do sell it in the store, but it's probably made out of particle board or a very cheap plywood. Plywood is not bad. Cheap plywood is obviously bad. And I would say you can customize it to your liking. Most people, when they build an AR-15 or AR-10 or any gun that you can customize, Glocks, right? You're going to customize it. You already know you're going to customize it. And then people have always told me, what if I buy this now and then upgrade later? Fair. The thing about that is you will upgrade so much probably that I know of. At least all of my people who upgrade stuff, they do it to the max. No one's just upgrading their pistol grip. Most people are upgrading their entire freaking gun. And it gets to the point where they have a box full of parts that they can almost build another firearm. And then they say, well, what am I going to do with all these parts? I don't know. Build another gun that looks like the very first one you had. Or build it from the start, part by part. You don't have to take as much time in the build process, right? Like right now, there'll be like a flash sale, 24-hour sales, things like that. Buy that part, buy that bolt carrier, buy that barrel, buy that gas system, the tube and the gas block. Like, hey, you like this pistol grip or you like this stock or pistol brace? Get it, it's on sale. And you don't have to rush and do it all at once. A lot of people have the budget for a build when it's spaced out over, a few months, 3 to 6 months at times. I don't have all the money up front right now to buy it. And so my answer to you is, you don't have to have it all right now. I email people a list of everything they need, from the upper receiver components to the lower receiver components. And this isn't even including optics. This is just like upper receiver, forward assist, charging handle, dust cover, barrel, bolt carrier group, handguard, gas tube, gas block, muzzle device. Upper is complete. lower receiver, lower parts kit. They do come with a pistol grip, but I say if you don't like that A2 grip, get another pistol grip, get magazines, get a buffer tube, castle nut end plate. They do come on buffer tube kits, but if you want an end plate that has a QD sling or something like that, you may get one that's integrated in the butt stock, which is another thing you would get as well. And then your buffer spring, if it doesn't come with that kit, which most of them do. That's it, lower complete. And when I show them these parts and I give them a rough estimate of what the part may cost, they look and say, I could do a couple of these a month or a paycheck or something like that and not break the bank. And I'm like, yeah, just do that. And then when you check off your list of every part you have, you will realize you're already done. Now it's the assembly process. You don't have to even do these with 80% lowers. Go buy a lower. If that, and that's what a lot of people think. I'm completely against buying lowers. Now I will say, is it cheaper overall to build one? Yes. I do have jigs. Yes, I understand my jigs cost a lot of money. My end mill bits, my router, things that I use to build that. But I've built so many that it's to the point where it's paid for itself. But if you want to go buy a cheap lower that's already stripped, yes, you're still going to pay your $25 background check. You're going to get taxed on it. And depends on what state you live in. You may have to wait 10 days just to get it out of jail. For me, is not an option. I only got into building 80% lowers because California, at the time when I wanted to build a pistol, you would not be able to build pistols. You couldn't buy a lower and then just make it a pistol. You had to register it as a pistol or a rifle. You could make a rifle. You could make a pistol lower, upgrade it to a rifle, but you can never take a rifle and downgrade it to a pistol. Dogs. So yeah, I definitely would say build it. All of my friends who come over to the house and they have their box full of parts, I'll say their box full of parts from Primary Arms, Right to Bear, Joe Bob Outfitters, Optics Planet, wherever they got the fail. And they'll come over and I'll show them how to build it. And half the time I'm not even whipping out any fancy tools. I have the torque wrenches, I have the bev block, I have the armorer's wrench from Magpul that honestly isn't the best for everything. It does what it's supposed to do, but it doesn't always do it. So the armorer's wrench from Magpul, specifically, I have two braces, the Maximum Defense brace that I'm putting on a friend's build and the SB Tactical brace. You cannot use the Magpul armorer's wrench to torque down that castle nut. It doesn't fit. You just can't do it. You need a normal piece of crap $6 to $10 armorer's wrench to do that. And that's kind of my point, is you don't always need the top of the line tools to do these. You can get away with very little tools. Do you need a bev block or a reaction rod from Geisley to torque the barrel down? Absolutely not. Does it help? Absolutely it does, but it's not necessary. I built a lot of firearms without that. I think I was in the less than 20. I was in the 10 to the teens range on building them before I decided to buy some of those parts. And I can say this, they definitely helped, but they weren't like, oh, I needed this.
Nope.
Now, I will say this, if you build an AR, I'm assuming you have basic level tools, household tools. You've got a hammer. You may have a vise, a bench vise. If you don't, you can easily go get one for very cheap. And a lot of people crap on Harbor Freight. Get something from Harbor Freight. Get a punch kit from Harbor Freight. Get a vise from Harbor Freight. And someone's going to be, oh, this is a piece of crap. If you use it the one time that you're using it to build a gun, and you overall save money than buying one from the factory, it already paid for itself. So if I take my whole box full of parts, my crappy Harbor Freight tools, according to what people would say, and it still overall comes out cheaper than had I just bought that one that's on the shelf, I now have the knowledge. I'm very different. I like to learn. I'm always learning. So if there's anything I can do, I don't want to build my WRX. There's a big difference, right? I don't have the time to strip that whole car to its chassis and reassemble it. But I have modified engines on my Evo before. I have taken out pistons. I have changed out cams. I've done all the exhaust work, turbo work on my car just because I'm curious. How does this actually work? How does this thing scroll up? And this is no different with the AR, right? I'm in the military. They'll give me an M4 and I'm looking at it and all I know is how to function check it. Empty mag, rack back, mag release, bolt, and then go from there. And the whole time I'm like, what's going on? What's all this? Like, why is it doing that? Eventually, I built my first gun, and I found out a lot of parts. Like, this is it. This is it. So for all you upgrade monkeys, myself included, I upgrade my own guns, right? And I build them to actually be the end product, and I still upgrade them, right, all the time. And I think that's part of it. It's just, they're like Barbies for men, adult Legos, whatever you want to call it. I cannot stop modifying my firearms. Whether I've Cerakoted one of them 3 different times. The first time it was just a trash job, but I kept it on there for a little bit, enjoyed it, stripped it down, and then I cannibalized some parts from another build on it. Later I was like, you know what, I don't like that color. It didn't look bad, I just didn't like the color. So I stripped it down, redid it. And there is something, you don't need to do all that, right? But I just really enjoy it, so I can definitely understand people who want to build it a lot better. The people who don't have any give a crap on how it works, go buy one. Go buy that cheap $500 to $600 one if you can find it in this economy. Try that one. When it comes to upgrading the guns, like I said, all you upgrade monkeys, every tool that you would need to assemble, right? Because we're really assembling these, we're not building them. Every tool you would need to assemble an AR, you would need to modify your AR. So for the people who say, I don't want to build a gun, I'm going to go buy this thing over on the wall that's way overpriced, and then I'm going to change out the handguard. Okay, so to change out that handguard, guess what you're going to need? An armorer's wrench to break the barrel nut. Because you most likely, if you buy one, it doesn't come with the barrel nut wrench. If I go buy a Daniel Defense gun right now, I'm pretty sure it does not come with the barrel wrench adapter at all. It may, but I don't think so. If I buy the handguard, it will come with it. Or BCM or Midwest Industries, which are probably my favorite. They come with their own proprietary barrel nut and adapter. So I still need to get the current one off, whether it's a stock one with the Delta ring or one of the different ones that you have to index the gas tube over the little detents on it. I'm still going to need to buy all that same crap I'm saying I don't need or don't want to get. You will eventually have them anyway. So to me, it doesn't make any sense. I want to change out my old, I have this M16, or I have a normal carbine buffer. I want to swap it out for the UBR stock, or I want to swap it out for an SB Tactical or Maxim Defense brace. Well, guess what I'm going to need? I'm going to need a castle nut wrench to take that current one off and torque the new one on. Well, great. You're going to have that tool now. So not only do you have a torque wrench to retorque your barrel down, you're going to have the proprietary barrel nut, and don't use your torque wrench for it, but a normal ratcheting set to take that off so you don't jack up the calibration on it. You're going to need an armorer's wrench, which most of them do multiple things, but an armorer's wrench to take off the castle nut, an armorer's wrench to take off your muzzle device. A lot of people swap those out. They buy suppressors and then they got to swap that out. What else? I think that's the main parts. But what are you going to use to torque your barrel down when you swap it out anyway? Oh, I have this barrel. I'm going to go ahead and swap it out with another one. Or this barrel is not accurate, or I want to upgrade my caliber to whatever. Right? I had 2 5.56s, now I want one 300 blackout. You're going to take off that handguard. You're going to take off that barrel nut. You're going to take out the barrel, and then you're going to retorque another one on there. How are you going to do that without having the same tools you need to assemble one that you have in a box full of parts? Someone explain that to me. I mean, really, please, someone explain that, because if you cannot explain that to me, I don't get it. I've built a lot of AR-10s, and to be honest with you, I haven't used any type of bev block thing to torque that barrel down. Not once. Now, I do use it for my AR-15s because I already have it, but I don't have one for AR-10s. I do like the bev block. I've never used a reaction rod. I don't know if they have one for the 308. Nope. I looked and I couldn't find one. So what I did was I have a flat top upper. I clamped a piece of wood on top, a piece of wood in between the takedown and pivot pin holes into my vise, and it wasn't moving. I put that barrel in there. Obviously I had it greased up a little bit inside the receiver and on the barrel extension, so you have those two do two dissimilar metals with a lot of heat right there, put it on the barrel, season the threads, and torque it down to 30 to 80 foot-pounds. Now, with a lot of the new handguards today, you don't have to time them or index them for the gas tube. You just torque it down to the minimum, whether it be 30 or 35 pounds per square inch, and that's it. That upper receiver can take that much of abuse. You do not need it to be in some specific clamping mechanism. Those things make it easier, right? I don't have to this day a gas block roll pen, a gas block easy, like something you can easily put a gas block into. I just clamp that crap between two normal pieces of wood, and I sit there and get it started, put my gas tube where it needs to, index it right, and just go. And I've done a lot of those. And so I still think it is cheaper to build or assemble your AR-15 or AR-10 platform. I know there are many other platforms out there that you may be able to customize. I don't know of them. The ARs are where I'm at. So hopefully that answers some questions. It's 2022. A lot of parts are actually still cheaper, just like they were last year or the year before that, for lower receivers, upper receivers, barrels, bolt carriers, things like that. And I still, to this day, think it's an overall cheaper option than going and buying one on the shelf that costs north of $1,200. And the only cool feature it has is ambidextrous safety. That's it. So let me know if I'm missing something. I'm pretty sure there's plenty of stuff out there. Plenty of people who are going to say, oh wow, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. And maybe I don't, but I haven't had anybody who disliked any of my firearms. Not one. And every one of them shoot. And every one of them that had any slight problem, I knew what it was instantly, because I put it together and I remember whatever little issue it might have had during the build process. So I feel I know ARs more than the people who buy ARs.